The stars were silent. The human soldier drifted alone in the wreckage of his escape pod. His breathing was shallow, each gasp sharp against the hiss of leaking air. The war was over for him. His ship had fallen. His comrades were gone. The black ocean of space had swallowed everything. He pressed his hand to the cracked glass of the viewport. Cold light from distant suns touched his face. His oxygen gauge blinked red. Minutes, maybe less, before the end. He whispered to himself, but no one answered. Only the void listened. His mind grew heavy. He thought of home, of green fields and voices he would never hear again. Death did not frighten him anymore. It felt close, like an old shadow waiting at the door. He closed his eyes, ready to surrender. Then, something strange appeared. A soft light shimmered through the darkness. At first, he thought it was a dream. The glow grew stronger, moving with purpose, unlike the cold stars around him. It was not human. It was alive. His weak eyes widened as the light drew near. From the glow, a shape formed. A figure tall and graceful, with skin like silver and eyes that shone with hidden sorrow. Her form was not human, yet she carried herself with a calm dignity. She was alien, but there was no weapon in her hand. Only silence and stillness. Her voice reached him through the calm system. The sound was soft, broken with grief. She spoke his language, though each word was heavy with an accent that made it sound almost like music. You should not be here, human. Death waits for you. Yet I cannot leave you to the void. He could barely respond. His throat was dry, his body weak. Still, he whispered, "Why, save me!" She paused before answering. Her glowing eyes flickered, as if she carried memories too heavy to speak aloud. Finally she said, "Because I know what it is to lose. I will not let you vanish as he did." Before he could ask what she meant, his vision blurred. Darkness pressed at the edges of his sight. He felt his pod pulled by invisible hands. Her light surrounded him, carrying him through the black sea of stars. When he opened his eyes again, he was no longer floating in the void. He lay on a bed carved from black stone, warm cloth resting on his chest. Strange glowing plants lit the room with a soft blue hue. The air smelled of smoke and flowers unknown to Earth. Shadows danced across the walls, shaped by the flicker of alien fire. His body was wrapped in bandages. His wounds no longer bled. Someone had saved him. Someone had carried him here. The alien woman sat near him, her tall frame bent slightly as she watched his breathing. Her face was calm, but her eyes were storms of memory. She said nothing for a long time, as if words were not ready to leave her lips. At last she spoke. "You are safe for now. This place is mine. It has been empty for many years. I am its only keeper." Her tone carried sorrow that pierced him more than her words. He saw a picture carved into the stone wall behind her. It showed a warrior, proud and strong, his alien features sharp, his eyes fierce. She noticed his gaze and lowered her head. "My husband," she said softly. "He fell in a war long ago." The soldier felt the air grow heavier. He looked at her again and saw her pain. Her words were simple, but they carried a weight far greater than grief alone. "Why help me?" he asked again, his voice hoarse. "I am human. Your kind has no reason to show me mercy." Her glowing eyes met his. For a moment, her expression softened. Then she looked away. "Mercy is not what brought you here," she said. "I could not watch another soul vanish into the dark. You remind me of him." The silence between them deepened. He felt her sorrow, yet he also felt something else. Something unspoken, hidden behind her grief. The room felt colder. He could sense a mystery rising, like a shadow waiting at the edge of light. She had saved him, but for what reason? Her kindness seemed real, yet her silence carried secrets. The soldier closed his eyes, his strength fading again. As he slipped into sleep, her voice was the last sound he heard. "Rest, human. Tomorrow, you will see why I brought you here. And perhaps you will understand." The firelight dimmed. The alien widow sat in silence, watching him as if torn between compassion and something far darker. Her eyes never left his face. In her heart, grief and purpose twisted together. She had saved him, yes. But the truth of why would shake his soul. The human soldier awoke slowly. His eyes opened to a soft glow that painted the walls in shades of blue and silver. The air was warmer here. He breathed deeply, and for the first time since the battle, his chest did not feel heavy with smoke. He was alive. He sat up, though his body still ached. Around him stretched a room unlike any he had ever seen. The walls were carved from black stone, polished smooth by hands long gone. Strange symbols covered the surface, glowing faintly like stars captured in rock. Between the stones grew vines with luminous leaves, each pulsing with gentle light, as if the room itself was breathing. The soldier ran his hand over the cloth that covered him. It was soft, yet strange, woven from threads that seemed to shimmer like silver when touched by the glow of the plants. He had no memory of being carried here. He had no strength to resist when she saved him. Yet here he was, alive inside a home that felt older than time. The alien widow entered quietly. She carried a small bowl in her hands. Steam rose from it, carrying a sharp scent that was both sweet and bitter. Her tall figure moved with quiet grace. Her silver skin reflected the light, and her eyes glowed with that same sorrow he had seen before. "You wake," she said softly. "You are stronger than I thought." The soldier tried to speak, but his throat burned. She raised the bowl to his lips and held it there. The liquid was thick, unlike water, but when it touched his tongue it eased his pain. Warmth spread through his chest. He coughed once, then felt his voice return. "Where am I?" he asked, his voice low. "My home," she answered. "What is left of it?" He looked around again. The carvings, the glowing plants, the fire burning low in the center of the room. It felt more like a shrine than a home. He noticed again the carving on the wall of the alien warrior. A face strong, proud, watching him even now. The widow saw his gaze and placed the bowl aside. She touched the carving with her fingers, her long nails gliding across the lines as if they were sacred. "He was my husband," she said. Her voice trembled. "He fought in wars that stretched across worlds. He was strong, yet he fell like the rest. I buried him with my own hands. His spirit remains here, in these walls, in this place that no longer belongs to anyone but me." The soldier lowered his head. He knew the weight of loss. He had buried friends, brothers, and sisters in arms. Yet there was something in her tone, something more than grief. It was as if she had not only lost her husband, but also the world around him. "Why did you save me?" he asked again. His eyes searched hers, desperate for an answer that made sense. "Your people, they fought us. They hated us." Her gaze met his. The glow in her eyes was not anger. It was deeper. "Because hate is nothing beside loneliness," she said. "I saved you because I could not watch another life fade into the dark. Even if that life was human." The fire crackled between them. The silence stretched, heavy with meaning neither dared to speak. He saw her sorrow. Yet he also felt something else. Something hidden beneath her words. She moved closer, placing another cloth across his shoulders. The warmth surprised him. For so long, he had known only cold steel, the emptiness of war, and the silence of death. Here, in this alien home, a stranger had shown him care. He looked at her again. Her face was sharp, her features not human, yet her expression was familiar. Pain. Grief. Loneliness. It was something that united all beings, no matter the world they came from. The soldier whispered, "I owe you my life." She shook her head slowly. "You owe me nothing. Your presence is payment enough." The words struck him. There was weight behind them. It was not kindness alone. It was not mercy. It was something else, something unspoken. That night, as he lay back on the stone bed, he listened to the sounds of the alien home. The whisper of vines shifting. The hum of energy running deep beneath the walls. The faint sound of her footsteps as she moved through the dark halls, always close, never far. He thought of her eyes, filled with sorrow and secrets. He thought of her husband, carved forever into the stone. And he wondered why fate had brought him here, to this place, to this widow. Sleep came slowly. Yet before he drifted away, he heard her voice from the shadows. A whisper, soft and full of longing. "You remind me of him." The words echoed in his heart. They were heavy with grief, but also with something else. Something he could not name. As the fire burned low and the room dimmed, the soldier realized he was no longer just a guest. He was part of a mystery he did not yet understand. The widow had saved him. But the reason behind her kindness was still hidden. And in the silence of her ancient home, he felt the first stirrings of fear. The morning came with a pale light that seeped through cracks in the stone walls. The soldier opened his eyes and found the widow standing at the doorway. Her tall frame was covered in a long dark robe, and her glowing eyes reflected the soft blue light of the vines. She did not speak at once. She simply watched him, waiting for him to rise. "You can walk now," she said at last. "Come with me. There is something you must see." His body still ached, but strength had returned. He followed her, leaning on the rough walls as they left the chamber. The air outside was cool, carrying a strange scent of metal mixed with flowers. When he stepped out, his breath caught in his throat. Before him stretched a village. The houses were built from the same black stone as hers, shaped into elegant towers and arches. But they were broken. Roofs had collapsed. Doors hung open. Windows were shattered. Statues of warriors stood at every corner, their faces stern and proud, but their stone bodies were covered in cracks. The place looked abandoned, as if time had stopped and left it behind. The soldier turned to her. "Where is everyone?" Her gaze lingered on the broken homes. "Gone," she said simply. "This was once full of life. Children played in the streets. Songs filled the night. Now it is silent." He listened to the wind as it moved through the empty houses. It almost sounded like whispers. The air itself felt heavy, as if the memories of the dead still clung to the ruins. He shivered. She walked ahead, her robe brushing across the dust. He followed, his boots echoing in the hollow streets. He looked at the statues again. Each one held a weapon, carved with great care. Their eyes seemed alive, watching him as he passed. He felt as though the entire village was holding its breath. "Why bring me here?" he asked. Her answer was calm. "Because you should know what remains of my world. You should see what war has done. You should see what loneliness means." They stopped at the center of the village. There stood the largest statue of all. A warrior taller than the rest, his face fierce and proud. The soldier realized the carving was of her husband. His stone eyes looked forward, filled with defiance even in death. She touched the base of the statue with her hands. Her voice trembled when she spoke. "He was loved by all. He was strong. When the war came, he fought without fear. But even the strongest fall. I buried him here. And after that, one by one, the others left or perished. I remained." The soldier felt a knot form in his chest. He had seen villages burned, homes destroyed, lives taken. But this was different. This was not only destruction. This was silence, a silence that had lasted for years. He looked at her and asked quietly, "Why stay here alone?" Her glowing eyes turned to him. "Because the dead do not deserve to be forgotten. Someone must keep their memory alive. Someone must wait for their voices to return." Her words unsettled him. They carried meaning he could not yet understand. He opened his mouth to ask more, but a sudden sound stopped him. From one of the empty houses came a faint whisper. He froze. It was not the wind this time. It was clearer, softer, almost like a voice calling his name. He turned quickly, but saw nothing. The widow placed her hand on his shoulder. "Do not fear. The village remembers. The stones remember. That is why it feels alive." Her touch was warm, but her words made his skin crawl. He wanted to believe it was only his imagination. Yet deep inside, he felt eyes on him, eyes that did not belong to statues. As they walked back toward her home, he glanced behind him. The shadows between the ruined houses seemed to move. The whisper returned, faint but sharp, brushing against his ears. He quickened his steps. When they entered the stone house again, the soldier finally asked, "What was that? Who is out there?" The widow closed the door and placed her hand against the wall. "No one living. Only echoes. You will grow used to them." Her calm tone did not ease him. The weight of the village pressed on his mind. He could not shake the feeling that he was being drawn into something far deeper than simple mercy. That night, as he lay on the bed once more, he could not sleep. He saw the broken homes, the silent statues, the eyes of the warrior carved in stone. He heard again the faint whisper calling his name. And in the corner of his vision, he thought he saw her watching him, her face caught between grief and something unspoken. She had saved him. She had given him shelter. But in the silence of the hidden village, he began to wonder if she had brought him here for reasons far darker than she had confessed. The nights in the village were long. The human soldier lay awake, listening to the strange whispers that drifted through the stone walls. They were faint, almost like sighs carried by the wind. Sometimes he thought they called his name. Other times he believed they were only his tired mind playing tricks. Yet through the silence, one presence was always near. The widow. She moved softly through the halls, her robe brushing the ground like falling leaves. She carried food to him, brought water from a hidden well, and tended his wounds with steady hands. She spoke little at first. But when she did, her words carried weight, as if every sentence was chosen with care. One evening, as he sat near the small fire, he finally asked, "Why do you watch me so closely?" Her glowing eyes met his. She did not turn away. "Because I do not want to lose another life. Not again." The firelight flickered across her face. In that moment, he saw more than grief. He saw loneliness so deep it could break even the strongest soul. She sat beside him, her long hands resting on her knees. For a time, neither spoke. Only the fire spoke, crackling in the stillness. Then she began to tell him fragments of her story. She spoke of her husband, the warrior carved in stone. She told of battles that stretched across the stars, of victories that turned to ashes, of laughter that once filled these halls. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed the storm within. "He believed we would rise again," she whispered. "He believed death was only a passage. He told me never to lose hope. But when he fell, hope fell with him." The soldier listened. He felt her words press against his heart. He understood loss. He understood the silence that follows after the last cry of war. He shared his own story with her. He told her of his comrades, of the friends he buried with his own hands. He told her of the earth he longed to see again, of rivers and skies untouched by battle. His voice trembled, but she listened with eyes that did not waver. In those moments, the fire was no longer just warmth. It was a bridge between them. Two souls from opposite worlds, once enemies, now bound by grief. The days passed, and the bond grew stronger. She guided him through the ruins of the village, showing him wells once filled with laughter, gardens now overgrown with glowing vines, halls where songs were once sung. He could almost hear the echoes of what had been. "Do you ever think of leaving this place?" he asked her once. Her answer was quiet. "This place is my prison, and my sanctuary. If I leave him behind. I cannot." Her devotion cut deep into him. He saw a woman who had lost everything, yet still clung to memory like a flame in the dark. And yet, when she looked at him, he felt that flame shift. One night, as the cold wind howled outside, he found her sitting alone before the statue of her husband. She was whispering in her language, her hands pressed to the stone. Her shoulders trembled, though she tried to hide it. He stepped closer. "Do you pray to him?" She did not look back. "I speak to him. I tell him what remains. I tell him I am still here." Her voice cracked. He placed his hand gently on her shoulder. She did not pull away. For a long moment, they stayed in silence, bound by pain neither could heal. When she finally turned to him, Her eyes glowed brighter than before. "You remind me of him," she whispered again. But this time, there was more in her voice. It was not only sorrow. It was longing. The soldier's heart beat faster. He felt the distance between them shrink, yet the weight of her words pressed against him. To her, he was not just a man. He was a reflection of the one she had lost. That night, as he lay awake, he could not stop thinking of her. He thought of the way her eyes softened when she spoke, the way her voice carried both strength and pain, the way she lingered near him as if afraid he would vanish. But deep inside, he also felt a storm. She cared for him. She trusted him. Yet every word, every glance, every silence carried a shadow. She was hiding something. The bond between them grew, but so did the mystery. And the closer he drew to her, the stronger the whispers in the village became. He began to wonder if the bond was a gift, or if it was a chain. The nights grew colder. The soldier had grown used to the sound of whispers in the empty village, but on this night they were louder. The wind carried voices that seemed to call from every corner of the ruins. He sat awake on the stone bed, his heart heavy with unease. He thought of the widow. Her kindness was real. Her care was undeniable. Yet her silence still troubled him. She had told him pieces of her story, but never the whole truth. Her eyes often lingered on him as if waiting for something, as if measuring his worth. That night, unable to rest, he followed the faint sound of her footsteps through the halls. She did not notice him. She walked with quiet purpose, her robe trailing across the floor. She stopped at a hidden chamber deep within the stone house. The door slid open at her touch, revealing a faint blue light inside. The soldier moved closer, careful not to be seen. What he saw shook him. The chamber was filled with an ancient machine, towering against the walls. Its surface was smooth and black, covered in glowing lines that pulsed like veins. At its center floated a sphere of light, and within it shadows moved, faces pressed against the surface as if begging to be free. He froze. The faces were not human. They were alien, shaped like hers, their eyes filled with sorrow. Their mouths opened as if they were calling out, but no sound came. He stepped back, his breath caught in his throat. The widow knelt before the machine. Her hands pressed to its surface, her voice low as she spoke in her language. The blue light brightened, and among the shadows, he saw one face clearer than the rest. It was the face of the warrior carved into the stone statue. Her husband. The widow's voice trembled. "I am still here. I have not forgotten you. I will bring you back. I swear it." The soldier's chest tightened. He realized then why she had saved him. It was not only mercy. It was not only loneliness. It was purpose. She turned suddenly. Her glowing eyes fell upon him. He had been seen. For a long moment neither spoke. Only the machine pulsed with light, the faces pressing harder against the glowing sphere. Then she rose slowly, her tall frame towering over him. "You were not meant to see this," she said softly. His voice shook. "What is this place? What are those faces?" Her gaze did not waver. "They are my people. Their souls are trapped here. The war did not only take their bodies. It bound their spirits. They cannot rest. They cannot return. I have searched for years, waiting for the key that would free them." He felt the blood drain from his face. "Why me?" She stepped closer. Her eyes burned with desperate fire. "Because it is human blood that awakens the machine. The war took everything from me, but it also gave me knowledge. Your kind carries a force that binds to the heart of this device. Only you can set them free." The soldier's heart pounded. Her kindness, her care, her bond with him. All of it now twisted into something darker. She had not only saved him. She had chosen him. "You saved me just to use me," he said, his voice breaking. Her hands trembled. She shook her head. "No. At first, yes. At first I needed you. But then—" her voice softened. "Then I saw your pain. I saw your courage. You remind me of him. And now I do not know if I can ask this of you. Yet I must. Tears formed in her glowing eyes. She reached for him, but he stepped back, his chest heavy with betrayal and sorrow. All this time, he whispered? Every word, every glance. Was it all a lie? Her voice broke. No. I never lied about my grief. I never lied about my loneliness. And I never lied about what you mean to me. But my people suffer. Their voices haunt me every night. You have the power to end it. Do not mistake my plea for cruelty. The chamber grew colder. The machine pulsed brighter, as if it could hear their struggle. The faces pressed harder against the sphere, desperate to be free. He looked at them. He saw her husband, eyes burning with silent strength. He saw children, elders, warriors. He felt their sorrow. But he also felt the weight of her words pressing down on him. Her hand reached out again. Please! Help me! Free them! Free him! You are my only hope! His heart ached. The bond they had built now felt fragile, torn between love and betrayal. He could not deny her suffering. Yet he could not ignore the truth. She had brought him here for this. The soldier stood frozen, torn between trust and fear, love and doubt. The widow's glowing eyes shone with tears, her body trembling as she waited for his answer. And in that moment, he realized the truth. The choice was no longer about survival. It was about his soul. The chamber glowed with blue light. The machine pulsed like a living heart, filling the air with a low hum. The soldier stood frozen, his breath shallow, his eyes locked on the widow. Her tall figure trembled as she waited, her glowing eyes wet with tears. You are my only hope, she whispered again. Without you, they remain trapped forever. The soldier's heart pounded in his chest. He looked at the faces pressed against the sphere. They stared back with silent cries. He saw warriors, women, children. He saw her husband, fierce even in death. Their sorrow was heavy, pressing on his soul like chains. Yet the weight of betrayal still cut into him. She had saved him, cared for him, shared her grief with him. But now he knew it was not only kindness. It was a plan. A purpose. She had needed him from the start. His voice shook. You wanted me for this. Not for who I am. For what I can give. She stepped closer, her voice breaking. At first, yes. But I am no longer certain. You are more than a key. You are alive, and you carry a strength I thought lost. I see him in you, yet I see more than him. I see you. Her words tore at him. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to trust the bond they had built. But his mind was clouded with doubt. What happens to me? He asked. If I give you what you need? She fell silent. Her eyes dropped. Her hands clenched at her sides. Tell me, he pressed, his voice hard. She looked at him again, and in her eyes he saw the truth before she spoke it. The machine takes life to return life. You may not survive. The soldier staggered back, his breath catching. He stared at the glowing sphere, at the countless faces within. They begged for freedom. Yet freedom demanded his blood, his life. You asked me to die for them, he said. She shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. I asked you to give them what I cannot. I have searched for years, and now you stand before me. I cannot command you. I can only beg. Her tall frame bent as she sank to her knees. The proud widow, who carried the weight of a fallen world, knelt before a broken soldier. Her voice trembled as she whispered, I cannot lose them. I cannot lose him. But I also cannot bear to lose you. I do not know what choice will destroy me more. The chamber fell silent. Only the hum of the machine filled the air. The soldier's chest ached. He looked at her, this woman who had saved him from death, who had shown him sorrow and care, who had bound his heart with hers even as she carried secrets. He saw her grief, her loneliness, her desperate hope. He thought of his own life. He thought of the comrades he had lost, of the families broken by war, of the silence of space when he drifted alone, waiting for death. Perhaps this was why he had survived. Perhaps this was why fate had led him here. But fear gripped him. He did not want to die. He wanted to live. He wanted to see the world beyond this ruined village. He wanted to feel her hand in his again, without the shadow of death between them. His mind wavered, torn apart by the weight of choice. She reached out, her hands trembling. Her voice was softer now, almost a plea. If you refuse, I will not hate you. I will still keep you safe. But I will hear their voices every night until my own life ends. You can silence them. You can give them peace. Her words pierced him. He felt her sorrow sink into his bones. He felt the pull of destiny tightening around his heart. Slowly, he stepped closer. His hand reached toward the machine. The glow brightened, pulsing faster as if it sensed his decision. The faces within pressed harder, their silent cries growing frantic. The widow gasped, her voice breaking. Wait. Do not decide out of pity. Decide with your soul. I cannot lose both you and them without truth in your choice. The soldier's hand trembled inches from the surface. His breath shook. His heart pounded. He closed his eyes and saw the faces of his lost comrades, the countless lives taken by war. He heard their voices, whispering that life was not only survival. Life was sacrifice. He opened his eyes. His voice was steady, though his body shook. If this is what it takes, then I will give it. The widow's eyes widened. She cried out, rushing to him, her hands gripping his arms as tears streamed down her face. No. Not like this. Not because you feel you must. Choose it because you want it. Choose it because it is who you are. Her grip was fierce, desperate. She looked into his eyes as if searching for something deeper. And in that moment, he realized the truth. This was not only about saving her people. It was about saving her. His hand touched hers. He whispered, I choose it. For them. For you. Her body shook as she pressed her forehead against his. Then let your soul shake mine forever. The machine roared to life. The chamber filled with blinding light. The air vibrated with power, and the faces within the sphere pressed forward, ready to break free. And the soldier felt the pull of his life draining into the machine. The chamber shook as the ancient machine awakened. The walls glowed with waves of light, and the air grew heavy with energy. The soldier felt his blood surge, pulled from him like fire pouring into the sphere. His knees weakened. His breath faltered. Yet he did not let go. The widow held him tightly, her arms strong despite her trembling body. Her glowing eyes burned with fear and devotion. Stay with me, she cried. Do not let the light take you. Hold on. His vision blurred, yet he saw the faces inside the sphere. They pressed against the glowing barrier, reaching forward. Their cries were silent, but he felt them inside his soul. The machine drank his life, yet with each heartbeat, the sphere cracked. Blue light spilled outward. One by one, the shadows broke free. Figures of her people rose from the sphere, shimmering like fire in the air. Warriors, children, elders. Their eyes opened, no longer trapped in silence. Their voices finally broke through, singing in sorrow and in triumph. The widow fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. She reached her hands upward as her people floated around her like living stars. You are free, she whispered. You are free at last. Among the spirits, one stepped forward. The soldier recognized him. The warrior carved in stone. Her husband. His face was fierce, his eyes proud, but his spirit was calm. He looked at the soldier, not with hatred, but with respect. The spirit bowed. Then he turned to the widow. His hand rose, brushing her face with a tenderness that made her sob. His voice echoed through the chamber, though no lips moved. You have carried my memory with strength. But now you must let go. Live, my love. Your heart is still beating, and it must beat for the future. The widow trembled. She clutched his fading hand. I cannot lose you again. The spirit smiled, his form glowing brighter. You are not losing me. You are gaining freedom. His gift has given us peace. He turned once more to the soldier. His voice rang deep and final. Human, you have given what no war could take. My soul is shaken by your sacrifice. I honor you. With those words, the spirits rose higher. Light filled the chamber, bursting through the walls, rushing into the empty village. Statues cracked and fell as life returned to the air. The whispers ended. The silence was gone. Then the light faded. The machine grew still. The spirits were gone, their faces at peace, vanished into eternity. The widow remained on her knees, her hands pressed to the ground, her tears falling fast. The soldier stumbled, his body weak. He collapsed beside her. She caught him, holding him close. His skin was pale, his breath shallow. She pressed her forehead against his, her voice breaking. Do not leave me! Not after this. Not after you have given everything. He tried to smile, though pain burned through him. They are free now. That is what matters. Her arms tightened around him. You matter. To me. He closed his eyes, his voice faint. Then let this be enough. If I am to fall, let it be in your arms. Her tears fell onto his face. She shook her head fiercely. No. I will not let death take you. Not again. Not like him. She carried him from the chamber into the light of dawn. The village was no longer haunted. The air was warm. The vines glowed brighter. For the first time in years, the place felt alive. She laid him on the stone bed, her hands glowing as she pressed them to his chest. She whispered words in her language, pouring her own strength into him. Her tears mixed with the light, and slowly, his breathing steadied. His eyes opened once more. Weak but alive, he looked at her. Why save me again, when you already had what you wanted? Her voice trembled, but her eyes burned with truth. Because it was never only about them. It was about you. You shook my soul, as no one else could. I cannot lose you, not now. The soldier's chest ached, but warmth spread through him at her words. He touched her hand weakly, his voice soft. Then let us live. Not for war. Not for sorrow. But for what is left. The widow's lips curved into the faintest smile, the first smile he had ever seen from her. She leaned close, her forehead resting against his once more. For what is left? She whispered. The dawn light filled the village, golden and soft. The spirits were gone, but peace remained. The widow was no longer alone. The soldier was no longer lost. And though scars remained, their bond had become something greater than grief. Something born of sacrifice, trust, and love. Humanity had given more than survival. It had given hope.